What's going on, guys? It's your boy Trill, it's your boy Santiago, it's your boy Pro Woods. Let me put this down. Call me what you want to call me, but today, call me extremely blessed, because for the first time in 3 years, all of my girls are in one place. I put this away because I was supposed to, I was going to clean everything up, but I figured, because this is the first time they've all met, and this is the last day they're all going to meet, I figured I'd make a little video, you guys, show you all 3 of my bikes, quirks, features, you know, cool stuff like that, and yeah, I want to get into the point. I want to show you guys each of my motorcycles, how I got them, where they are, where they're at, what they need, because they all need something, and yeah, I just want to go along with my journey on here. So collectively, I'm about 12 grand into all 3 bikes. If you don't count tires, then I'm probably 30 grand into all my bikes. Kidding, but you guys, come on, riders, you know, but these tires go by so fast. Yeah, I just want to give you guys an introduction to each of my girls. I want to do a full, high-scale, high-quality production video to all 3 of them. If you know anybody in the Chicagoland area who'll be able to help make that happen, that'd be great. Editing is just really not my thing. If you guys have watched the channel, you guys know. But I do want to make like a high-quality video with music backdrops, all that stuff. Let's get out of that. Let's just go into the bikes. And we're going to start with the first one. So I'll give you a brief overview, and then I'll come get you closer and I'll show you around the bike. So this is my 2008 Honda VTX 1300C. This was the first motorcycle I bought. Bought it the day I bought it when I was 18 to ride it when I turned 19. So I've owned this bike a lot of years now. I was a 2003 baby. You guys know what year it is. So I've owned this bike for 3 plus 3.5 years now. It's been a great beaut. I've loved this thing a lot. This bike currently has 66,718 miles, and out of all 3 of these bikes, she's pretty much in the middle as far as running goes. I haven't put as many miles on this bike yet. I bought this with just under 40,000 miles, so I've put, almost 30,000 miles on this bike, 26,000 and some change over the last 3.5 years, so it's only getting about 8,000 miles a year. Combined, I do close to 23,000 miles a year, so this was my exclusive bike for my first season. I rode it everywhere in the Midwest. It's been I'm from the Chicagoland area, but it's been to Wisconsin, Indiana, Iowa, Ohio, Missouri, it's been a fantastic bike. I had it at one point. I had a windshield on it. I had full black saddlebags, a black trunk. I had floorboards on it. It was pretty much all kitted out. Recently, I've actually gone to having a kind of solo-ish style tan seat that I found in Indianapolis on Marketplace. The guy was nice enough to throw in a bag for me as well. So this bike is now red and tan, which is pretty cool. Strawberry jelly and peanut butter. Her name is Izzy, and she is honestly one of the best starter cruisers for anyone who isn't really looking at getting into something like a Rebel 750 or a smaller Shadow or something where something where highway speeds are a bit of a concern. This bike, no issues on the highway. It is a 1300cc V-twin with a single carburetor, and the carb's not here, but it's over. Okay, anyway, this is where your air intake is. 1300cc V-twin. It is liquid cooled, so you do have coolant and a radiator and all that stuff. So it stays cooler in the summer, doesn't burn you up as much, and you don't have to worry about the engine as much. This specific bike has Vance & Hines complete, pretty much full straight pipe. It sounds great. Take a listen. It'll be loud. Pretty nice bike. These are all, I'm not going to rev it up too much, warm it up too much, but this bike has been absolutely fantastic in every single way. It currently doesn't have bolts to hold up the back, which is fine because I'm a solo rider. Oil changes, shaft fluid changes. Literally the only thing everything I've had to do on this bike. I did a brake bleed when I first bought it, but it's been 4 years. It's about time to do it again. Haven't even had to put a battery on it yet, which is also coming soon. But this bike has had 0 issues. It's been fantastic, except for the fact that a little bit of gas is leaking into the airbox. So a carb clean is also coming up soon. Maintenance, nothing serious. This bike's been absolutely fantastic. I recommend this for anybody looking to getting into riding who doesn't mind dealing with carburetors, which is really only an issue every few years. And yeah, again, for someone who takes a bike everywhere all over the place. This was my Chariot, and I loved it to death, but I have a really bad lower back. I have issues with wind. I need a backrest. And in the search for doing all that, I was thinking, you know, instead of cobbling together a long country tour, which is a great option to do, and a great alternative to what you might want to do, why not just buy a full dresser? And so I was going to get rid of this bike, buy the other bike. Cannot get this thing to get out of my hands. It makes about 51, 55 horsepower, about 80 pound-feet of torque. Wet weight on it, I mean, it's 607, 600, it's in the mid-high 6s for weight with fuel and everything. So this bike is so easy. I could drop it for you right now and pick it up with no problem. It's not like I'm going to do that for you, but yeah, perfect first bike. Izzy, she's beautiful. Let me get the next bike out to show you guys that one. And I have to move them all around anyway. For reference, I am 5'7", and even without shoes on, flat-footed, literally just fine. You've got the lowest seat height, riding position with the stock bars. You're a little forward. You're not completely, but you do feel a little bit more forward, especially compared to the other two. Hands are a little low. Feet pegs feel great right here. And this one specifically has these really junky highway bars on it that came when I bought it. And I paid $2,800 for it from a dealership, which is a fantastic deal. So let me get that back, and let me pull out the next bike, which I will need my shoes for, because it is the tallest bike I own. And here we are. This is my girl. This is my by far my favorite bike I've ever owned. This is the most characteristic. This has been the most enjoyable. This has been the most comfortable-ish. This has been the most fun. This has gotten me the most conversations, the most people talk to. It's got the best features of any of the bikes I own, but it has been nothing but headaches all year. So this is my 2001 Royal Star Venture XVF 1300 VF, XVZ 1300. This is the Royal Star Venture. So the Royal Star, in its smallest form, is a 1300cc V4 compared to the V-twin. So actually, in its super basic core, it is a lot like the first bike you guys saw. However, companies like to make different versions of the same platform. It sells more, you get more options, more models. So the biggest version of this was the Royal Star Venture. And the Venture was this full fairing, bagged, everything. You got all the bells and whistles. You got everything you need in here. The reason why it's so unique, and the reason why I'm such a big fan of it, is because instead of having a V-twin, like a Harley, or like the VTX, or like the Voyager, which we'll get to, Kali is her name. My Royal Star Venture is a 4-cylinder. There's a V4 in there. So you got 2 cylinders on each side. This is also air-cooled. This is also carbureted. There are 4 carburetors. Don't ask me how much it costs to get those serviced, but this bike's fantastic. Right out the gate, you're making 100 horsepower, about 80 pound-feet of torque. You jet. I have specifically on this bike, I have Shark Road pipes on there. Thank you, Shark Road. This bike currently, I would estimate is making about 120 horsepower, 95 wheel horsepower, I'm assuming. This thing's a monster. It's a rocket. It's a riot. It's faster than both of the bikes I have. It's faster than the 80% of the Harleys I'm riding with. Especially if you're getting into 2001 Harleys, it's pretty hard for those to keep up. Love my Harleys though, can't afford it. It's a beautiful bike. I love this bike because it is so goddamn comfortable. You are so protected here. You're not as protected as I've learned with the Voyager, but these fairings right here, which are very expensive, because they also house your airbox and some other components are attached to them as well. It's a fantastic platform. This color pattern in specific, I wish I could show this to you outside in the light, but it's this beautiful bright red. You've got this maroon, burgundy kind of lower right here. Seat, I have a backrest put on there as well. This is a custom backrest that matches the stock seats. Thank you to the backrest company, forgot your name. Other than that, and the shark roads I have installed down here, this bike is pretty much stock. I did what every Royal Star owner does, and I did Barnett clutch, I did Ivan's jets, I did, again, the backrest here. Motor, other than that, is completely stock. However, Collie's been giving me some issues, my Royal Star. Now, I bought this bike with 20,000 miles on it. I currently have 35,998, 36,000 miles. So I put a lot of miles on it. And I've only had this bike for about a year now. I bought this May of last year. And it rode great. It kind of died for me on the highway though every so often, especially if I accelerated hard. Yeah, so the bike occasionally used to die on me on the highway. And it was a fueling issue because it would run out of fuel, give it a few minutes, fill back up, ride for a little bit more, die again, ride for a little bit more. Fed up with it. Hated it. So I got a new fuel pump. And I got my fuel filters cleaned out. That did the job for about 40 miles. And then I started doing it again. And I said, you know what? We're not going to fix one issue. I took it to my favorite shop locally. And I said, green light, get this thing running. So the first thing we did was we replaced our intake manifolds here because they were cracked out the wazoo. So intake manifolds were done. Jet kit was done. Carbs were rebuilt. And that worked great for about 500 miles. And now she's dying again. So please, guys, if you know anything, I'll get it started. You'll be able to hear it start. You'll also be able to hear a pretty bad click. No, you won't. There she is. She turns on. She runs. Too long, you'll just run out of fuel, and it drives me insane. But as you guys can already kind of hear, this is barely above idle. This thing can scream, it roars, it's the most beautiful sounding bike of all time. It's just giving me a lot of issues, and because it's my favorite bike, I rode it in my my late grandfather's funeral. So this bike means the world to me. It is the most unique bike. I've made the best memories on this bike. It's been to Niagara Falls with me. I can't give up on it yet. So I won't, and I will leave it sitting until I get a new car, which I also need to get because I have no car. Doesn't matter, not the point of the video, but this is my Royal Star Venture, my 2001. Beautiful storage, you got a ton of storage, front rear speakers, you got a cassette player right here, so if you guys have cassettes, please send them to me. I've got a full digital screen in 2001, model year started in 1998, so it's a pretty cool bike. It's got some old tech, new tech. Little bit complicated, but it has been an absolute life changer for me. And if I had to get rid of every other vehicle and only ride one for the rest of my life, I would keep buying Royal Stars. And Royal Star people can agree with me that they would also only ride Royal Stars. So, favorite bike of all time. I love this thing to death. Let's get the seating position for you guys as well. Again, I'm 5'7". So I can flat foot with the shoes on, but with the shoes off, I cannot. It is too short for me to flat foot with the shoes off. Seating position, my hands are infinitely lower. As you can see, I've got a huge bend here. Windshield, great, holds it up. But yeah, other than that, it's great. If I want to lean back, I can lean back right here. And then, you know, if I was a little taller, it'd be more comfortable. Unfortunately, I'm not, so I have to do something about that. I can also fold this back all the way if I want to lay back a lot. But your feet are very high up off the ground. You get a lot of ground clearance with this bike. Your seat's very high up off the ground, probably 5 inches taller than the VTX, so it feels super comfortable. I'm a huge fan of this bike in general. I've got my Bluetooth charger, quad lock foam mount attached to it. Everything's here. Everything's ready to go. I just wish she was working all the time, because again, that'd be all I needed. So let's put this bike away really quick for the day, because yeah, wet weight on this bike is about 890 pounds. Definitely creeps into the thousands pretty quickly if you fill it up with all the stuff you need to fill a bike up with. Last but not least, and currently my most recent bike, my modern bike. Oh, I got the kickstand. Okay, remind me to put the kickstand down, please. Okay, thank you. Last but not least is my, that bike I bought 22,000 miles, I paid $4 grand for it. Last but not least, we have my current Steed. This is the bike that's taken me pretty much anywhere all year. The reason why I bought this bike is because I knew the Venture Collie. I know she was giving me a lot of problems. I knew I needed to fix it. I knew there was stuff that needed to be done. And obviously that almost 10 months later is still the case. Because Collie was out I dropped her off to get her done in April, and it took all the way until about 3 weeks ago to get it back. So I had the bike in the shop for about three months while it was getting everything done. So I knew I needed something that could take me places. I had a very important trip with my group down to Savannah, Georgia. I knew that wasn't going to do it, and I knew Izzy wasn't comfortable enough to do it, and I still wanted to make the trip. So I did what any sensible 22-year-old man does, 21 at the time, and buy another motorcycle. So this is a 2010 Kawasaki Voyager. It is the ABS model, so I do have anti-lock brakes. This bike I bought with 14,140 miles. I remember that on the dot, for $6 grand. And it starts and it runs every time without failure. This bike's been really nice to me. It has a 1700cc V-twin engine. This is fuel injected. It also has what are called auto adjusting valves. So the valves auto adjust depending on your riding style. So if you're going to be calm, be calm. If you're going to be aggressive. Do not be in the middle. Trust me, it will piss you off. It does a little it's annoying. Other than that, it's a fantastic bike. The bike currently has, let's see here. I actually don't know. The bike currently has 21,788 miles on it, and I bought it in February of this year. So 14, that's 7,000 miles so far this year on this bike alone. That bike I've probably done 6,000 on, 7,000 on. And this bike I did, I don't know, a few thousand on this year. So I ride a lot. But, yeah, this bike's been phenomenal. It is, again, 1700cc parallel V-twin. You're liquid cooled, you're fuel injected. So this is my modern bike that I can just trust to turn on, ride anywhere. It's got low miles, beautiful service history, one owner. It has been pretty much the best bike for pretty much mixed use. I actually prefer this as a cold weather winter bike, and I'll get to that in a second. But when I bought the bike, it came with a little bit raised handlebars, these terrible grippies that I hate so absolutely much. They upgraded the bass speakers to Polk speakers, which are gold, and it is about 40% as loud as the stock speakers on the Venture, because the Venture has rear pods and this one doesn't. It's great. I actually have a fuel gauge. I actually have a tachometer, so I know how my RPMs. I have a temperature gauge, so I know what the temperature is. I think this is a great styled bike. That bike, when you move the handlebars, you notice that the fairing, so this big front plastic area right here, moves. And that's cool and all. It keeps the bike pretty stable, pretty steady. It takes a lot of the weight off of your forks. So when the bike's moving down the road, the wind is pushing more stable, so you feel a little bit more stable, except for when it's windy and it's pushing on that fairing really hard. This solves that because I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but let's get onto the bike here and show you that this bike is a fixed fairing motorcycle. So the fairing actually locks. Think, I'm going to get yelled at in the comments for this. Think Road Glide, I think, is a fixed fairing, and Street Glide is the movable fairing. So the fairing doesn't actually move on these bikes. I got my 3 headlights like I do in that one. The only modifications I've done to this since getting it was a cheap $50 backrest that I think is permanently damaging my seats. And I put, just very recently, these American, wait, where are they? I think you can see them from here. There you go. These American Freedom pipes I bought off of a guy on eBay, which honestly don't sound that good, unfortunately. Here, take a listen. I'll show you. Fuel pump prime. Sounds stock, right? When I get out of it a little bit. When you hear that, that is the fact that it has baffles in it, and neither of my bikes have baffles in them. And I hate baffles, so we're going to find a way to get rid of that at some point. But I have taken this bike to Savannah, Georgia and back, as I told you guys. I've also done a lot of charity rides on this bike, so I've done Tour de Farms, I've done other local ones. This bike's been pretty great. Build quality compared to the Venture is a big step down. And if you're looking for plastic fantastic, this is a great place to be. Pretty much everything on this bike is plastic and very malleable and very movable, and the bags are kind of loose and flimsy, and I mean, it's a motor and it's a windshield and it'll get you where you need to go. But yeah, I think it's great style. I think it's a great bike. This bike makes, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of 70-ish horsepower, 110 pound-feet of torque. It weighs within 4 pounds of the Royal Star. These are the same weight bikes. Would you rather have a V4 or a V-twin? Would you rather have a tall bike or a short bike? Would you rather have more storage space or less storage space? Would you rather have louder speakers, quieter speakers? Would you rather have more fuel range? Thank you for reminding me, myself. That bike, on the highway, I get about 44 miles per gallon. It has a 6.1 gallon tank. Do the math. I refill every 225 miles on that bike. This one, going the same speed, 80 miles an hour. 80 miles an hour is speedometer, so in real life closer to 72, 74. If I clock this at 74, 75 miles an hour real speed with that bike, this gets about 38 miles per gallon to 40 miles per gallon, if not less. And when you're getting that kind of mileage, and this, because similar to that, they made smaller versions of this bike, and then they added the fairing and bags and everything on later. This bike only has a 5-gallon tank. 5 gallons, 38 miles per gallon, and that's very generous. I know a lot of people on the forums who are refilling every 140 miles, which means this bike is very annoying on a road trip, as much as I'd like to complain. This bike, 140 miles of range, 230 miles of range, and this bike is a 4-cylinder carbureted motor versus a big V-twin. They just didn't know how to make this bike that efficient. It also has a 6-speed transmission, which should help because the other bikes don't. But with all that being said, this bike is just fantastic at getting on, going. It's reliable. It is comfortable. I do love the seating position. Let's get that going for you one more time here. I am back against the backrest. My hands are pretty much straight out ahead of me instead of all the way down here like they are on the Voyager. The handlebars are the same height, but my seat height's about 4.5 inches wider. So this is a pretty dang comfortable setup. I think the style of this is beautiful. This, the lower fairings here have a little area that you can open and close them so you can get more wind going through the fairing onto your leg. And especially with these early models, this is a 2010, they came out with a cause system, I believe in 2012, that made it so they repositioned where the fan is and they changed some stuff around so a lot less hot air gets on your legs. But this thing will pressure cook you to no end. This is a hot, hot, hot bike. And so having those fairings open is great. And that's why I think this is a great fall winter bike, because I ride in the winter. I ride as long as there's no snow or ice on the ground. If there's salt on the ground, I'll ride, because I do undercarriage, I salt protect my bikes. So this bike having wind protection literally all the way up and down, and being a generally hot running bike, makes it fantastic for the beginning of the year in the spring. When it's 108 degrees out, I am a lot less motivated to take this bike than I am to take the Venture or the VTX. But other than all those issues and the fact that you can't hear the speakers above 70, this bike has been a dream for me. And for a bike that I'm just going to keep for a very long time, like with that bike and like with that bike, I wanted everything to have its own purpose, but I just haven't been able to get into different groups of bikes. I've stayed with these big cruisers. My day, if I could do a dream day, it would be an iron butt, fall asleep, wake up, do an iron butt. That's what I did for Savannah. So the reason why all these just happen to be cruisers is because I do super long rides. I do want to get into an adventure bike at some point. I do want to get into a VFR at some point. I do want to get into some other bikes, even something like a Busa and CRF 250L, or there's a whole bunch of bikes I want to get into, but for some reason I can't stop buying overly heavy cruisers that weigh, in this case, 8 times as much as I do, and ride them around. So these are my 3 bikes. That was Izzy, my Honda VTX 1300C. I'll pull it up one more time for you guys to see it. Yeah, big bitch. There she is. This is my Honda VTX 1300C. Say goodbye to it. She'll be retiring for a while. I got a tender in here. I got my airbox cleaned. I got everything cleaned up. This bike will be going away for a very long time. But in the meantime, I really can't complain. I got my Voyager going. And the Venture, I'm going to let sit for probably a few months while I save up some doubloons, buy a car, because I do live in the Midwest. And after I get all that taken care of, we're getting right back to fixing bikes up, baby. I think she just needs another fuel pump. I think the first fuel pump that we put in there failed already. So we're going to have to put another fuel pump in there or do something, because she won't. I can't even ride this thing around the block, the Venture anymore. But welcome to a tour, garage tour of my 3 motorcycles. If you enjoyed this crazy, not put together at all video that had all these different turns and twists, let me know down in the comments below. We are going to get specific reviews on each of the bikes as time progresses. But for the moment, I do have to, unfortunately, stick with short content and upload every 2 months, because motivation is for the week. Hope you guys had a great time. Ask questions about all these bikes. Again, all these bikes I've been riding for way too much time. I'm a forum guy. I know everything about all these bikes, so if you guys have any questions regarding any of them, or if any of them have been on your shopping list and you want to know about how any of them are, let me know. I've been very honest so far today. So, have a great day. See you guys in the next one. I still gotta come turn it off. I don't even think I was in frame for any of that, actually. That's so funny.